Well, hey, y'all, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Welcome to the GI Justin channel. I have a couple of things for you today. We're going to switch topics and kind of roll back into preparedness and preparation for unforeseen events today. Uh, with the rising tensions between us and pretty much the rest of the world, one of the ways that these countries are planning on attacking us is an electromagnetic pulse. What they mean to do with this is basically explode a nuclear weapon at altitude up in the atmosphere. And the purpose for that is going to be to disrupt all of our electronic equipment. So, the thing I want to talk to you about today relates directly to that. The benefit they have in doing this is unless you have hardened equipment, it will knock out every radio, cell phone, television, recording device, electronic equipment that has a microchip in it that we have, basically degrading our ability to talk to one another. So this is something that they have, short of a nuclear weapon, a nuclear strike on America, a vested interest in doing because it will allow them to degrade our ability to fight significantly and just cause havoc in the United States. So, the thing I want to talk to you about when it comes to this is something in the military that we used significantly both in the ground and the air, and no mission goes off without one of these plans. And this is something that you can do for free at your house with your family. And if you don't have one, talk to your family today, do it today. Talk to your mom, whoever it is that you live with, that if something were to go wrong, you would want to be able to have a plan with. So the name of this theory is the no commo plan. And where it comes from in specifically the aviation side of my career, uh, when we're flying along, there's a million different ways that when you need a radio, it will fail you, either from hostile fire, having the wrong security keys put in your radio. There's a million different things that can happen that can cause your radio to fail you. So what we do is we have a series of checkpoints where, okay, cool. If I haven't heard from this helicopter in X amount of time, I'm gonna try him three more times. If I haven't heard from him in 10 more minutes, then I'm gonna fly in his general area, climb up a little higher, and see if maybe there's a mountain or a terrain feature that is why he can't hear me. And then if 30 minutes passes and I've heard nothing, I'm gonna fly to where his last known position was and see what I can find. Hopefully, it's just bad fill, bad keys, bad problems with the radio, and that's it. Worst case, you're going to show up and there's going to be something wrong and a helicopter on the ground or something like that. This is how this applies to your preparedness plan. If there were to be a disruption of cell phone services or a disruption of your ability to talk to your family, imagine the possibilities. How many of you travel for work? How many of you work a job that isn't next to your house? I think a lot of people have this situation at hand. So imagine this scenario. You're at home, you leave for work just like you would every other day. Today just happens to be the day that China decides that they want to cause a ruckus. So the first thing they do is detonate a nuclear weapon in the atmosphere, frying your cell phone and every other cell phone for every American. What are you going to do? How are you going to protect your family? How are you going to get your wife and your kids all in the same place to where all this glorious stuff that you've been hoarding for years, all this ammo and all this food and all this water and all this cool stuff, all the bourbon, very important. How are you going to do that? Well, the no commo plan is your answer. So the way you set up a no commo plan is you don't do it situationally based. You don't say, okay, if I am at work, if I am X, Y, and Z, set it up in the broadest way possible because you don't know what kind of situation you're going to be preparing for. So what you want to do, set it up and say, okay, if there is a communications related failure where the phone lines are jammed, text messages don't go through, I have 0 bars, something is wrong. If I don't have signal again in 20 minutes, then I am going to drive straight home. And then I'm going to tell my wife the exact same thing. Your job will be to go straight to the school, get the kids, come straight home, rally at the house. So that is the basics of a no commo plan, and you can get as intricate as you need to. That's the other part of this. As long as everyone understands. If you have a teenage son or daughter, tell them, okay, hey, if you go to zero signal and so does everybody else, or something, anything, whatever that thing may be happens, if you haven't heard from me within 10 minutes without stopping, I don't care if you need gas or not, drive straight to the house, lock the doors until we get there. This is the way you order this, where you'll say, hey, y'all have seen her on the channel. Hey, Lauren, here's the deal. If there is an event and you don't hear from me in 20 minutes, your job will be to go straight to the elementary school, pick up kid A. My job will be to stop what I'm doing, go to the middle school, get kid B. Kid C is going to get in her car and drive straight to the house and lock the doors, bringing all the dogs in, whatever you got to do, preparing, firearms if she has the training and it's necessary. It can be as complex as you need it to be, but hope is not a plan. That's the thing here. Hope is not a plan. Having a good plan is a plan. And, who was it? Mike Tyson, no fighting plan survives the first punch. That may be true in most cases, but in this case, at least having a basic rally plan for your family, a no commo plan, and Dad, I don't know what to do, but we talked about this, so here's what I'm going to do because I know what you're going to do. That's a plan. So that's definitely something. If you haven't already done this, I would highly recommend take 10 minutes out of your day, come up with what you want your family to do, and then discuss it with them. Brief them on what you want. Tell them, hey, you do this, you do this, you do this. We rally at the house, lock it down until however long it takes. If you're somebody who travels a lot, tell them, hey, at a bare minimum, I can figure out a way to get home in 2 days if you're wherever. Come up with any sort of plan tailored to your needs. So that's the big first thing I want to talk to y'all about. And like I said, this is something totally free that you can just do at home. You don't have to go buy some expensive piece of gear. You don't have to go spend a bunch of money. Totally free. And it applies in so many emergency facets in life. So the second thing I want to touch back in on is something we talked about yesterday. The 16th largest bank in America, the Silicon Valley Bank, failed completely and was taken over by the government yesterday, which caused the stock market to have its worst day since July. Interesting little notes on this that I just want to touch back in on just to kind of close the case on this thing for today. Turns out 3 weeks ago, Jim Cramer, who is a guy that he's on CNBC and gets a lot of love and a lot of hate because he has a show called Mad Money where he recommends stocks either to be bought, sold, not touched, whatever. He recommended buying this stock 3 weeks ago. So you've got tons of people who follow this guy who are now very upset that he recommended stock in a company that obviously is failing. So I'm really interested to see what the fallout on that is. And it just goes to show you, and that's kind of why I brought this up, that the stock market can't super be trusted right now. Its volatility is so high that even guys like Jim Cramer, who have made untold sums of money in the stock market, are getting it not only wrong, but very wrong. So that is something that I think you have to consider when it comes to the stock market, remembering that it is not a lottery ticket. I made this analogy with a friend of mine. Shoot, I probably said it to him 3 times now, but if you've ever gone gambling and played blackjack, craps, whatever it is, you've got that amount of money that you're prepared to lose just because you're having fun. You're drinking your drinks, you're having fun with your buddies, doing whatever it is that you do when you're gambling. You can always spot the guy at the table who's there to pay his rent because he is playing poorly. He's getting pissed off when he loses, and his betting gets increasingly reckless the less money he has. And that's what's happening a lot of these times with the stock market. These people think it's a lottery, and it just isn't. So last thing on this topic of the Silicon Valley Bank that I want to tell you guys about, it turns out, and I really, really, really hope this guy sees jail time, that the CEO of this failed bank sold $3.6 million of stock in the week leading up to its absolute meltdown and failure. So this guy's selling his shares because, when you sell stock, you're not just magically it disappears. You're selling it to a person who now owns that stock. So now there's people out there who own $3.6 million worth of this crap, well, owned since it's delisted, that will never be able to get whole. And this guy took almost $4 million worth of money. I really think that this is a cautionary tale of the stock market and what we do on a day-to-day basis with our money, especially given the dire warnings from Walmart CEO and other CEOs in America right now. So I want to say that to say this: make sure you're preparing financially for what is coming. Be setting aside the money that you need to set aside for your family's sake and protection, and in the event that food continues to rise in price. I mean, you've got to feed your family, you have to feed yourself, you have to take care of them. So be very, cautious of these stock market plays and thinking about this inflation and all that stuff. So that's really what I wanted to touch on big time today for y'all. So thank you again. I had another person, good guy, buy me another bourbon yesterday. So if you guys keep this up, I will definitely be able to put out some really, really interesting content. So thank y'all so much for spending the time with me today. As always, if you're getting good information out of this content, I'd really like it. It would help me out a ton if y'all would subscribe to the channel. There's going to be a little helicopter right there in the bottom, and that is actually a picture of me flying from Afghanistan. And if you click on that little guy, it'll show your support for me, and I would most definitely appreciate that. So thank y'all so much for taking the time today, and I hope you get some great information out of that and have a wonderful afternoon.